Welcome back to another video, and in this video we're going to be continuing on with our series on making accessible apps. And in this particular tutorial or video or whatever you want to call it, we are going to be taking a look at how it is that we can go about running accessibility audits using the accessibility inspector. Now, what is the accessibility inspector, first off? Well, if you're unfamiliar, the accessibility inspector is a developer tool that comes bundled with Xcode that allows you to inspect, as the name implies, the accessibility of views, entire screens, whatever the case might be, of your app. Now, the feature we're going to be taking a look at for Accessibility Inspector is how we can perform an audit. Now, what is an accessibility audit? Well, an accessibility audit is an automated process that allows you to, as the name implies, audit or check the accessibility of a view in your app. In this case, we're going to be taking a look at the accessibility of the main screen of our app here, which is just a UI table view with United States landmarks, for national parks, and for monuments. When we tap on any of them, we go to another screen that contains a map and has a marker indicating the location of that landmark. A relatively simple app, but you could have plenty of accessibility issues here. And I've created a few accessibility issues. All right, and we'll take a look at exactly what we're working with here. So, the first thing that we need to do is run our application, which I have up here, not music. I want the simulator. We're gonna go there. All right, so here is the simulator with our app inside it. You can see right off the bat there are a couple issues. Inside of our table view, we can't see the label. We can't see the label for the name of our landmark. We can only see the SF symbol there. We have the navigation title and all of that. We can click on any of these, and we can see we do get brought to the map. Or at least we should. And the simulator seems to be malfunctioning here. That's fine. We can rerun the app. That's not a problem. All right. So here we are again. I'm going to click on one of these cells, and there we go. There's our map. And you can see this one's the Washington Monument in Washington, D.C. However, we didn't know that this was the Washington Monument in the list. Because again, if we go back to our list of landmarks, we don't see the name displayed. However, what you don't know is that it is being displayed. The color is just, we've set the color to something it shouldn't be. So it matches the system background color. So if we were to do this, change the appearance, we still can't see the title. Because we're using system background color, or system background as the text color for the label, so it adapts along with light and dark mode. All right. The other issue that we have is each cell, while being treated as its own accessibility element, All we hear when we focus on each cell is button. Right? Now, what do you think will happen when we use our rotor? Because I still have our custom rotors here. So let's say national parks. It still doesn't work, right? It still will not announce the specific name of the landmark because we're focusing on the UI component itself, and it uses its accessibility label to announce it. So how do we change these things? Well, the way we change these things is relatively simple. But what we want to do first is we want to run an audit on our app so we can have it tell us what all is wrong. Now, if we go to Xcode, go into the Xcode menu, open Developer Tool, and we want Accessibility Inspector. So here is our inspector. The first thing that we want to do is go into the toolbar, select Audit, and then in the toolbar, we need to go to Device Target, which is all the way at the left-hand side of our toolbar. Now, we need to change the device from your Mac to the simulator. And then we need to change the process from all processes to whatever your app is called. Now, when we hit Run Audit, when we click Run Audit, it'll run the audit, do its thing. And then we'll have a table of issues. So here's all the issues. Now, it shows us that there are 8 dynamic type issues and 8 element description issues, but it does not catch the color of the text. It doesn't catch the contrast issue. Now, there are certain scenarios where it's not going to catch everything, and that is okay. Right? That is where manually testing your app is going to come into play, because you shouldn't rely on accessibility audits exclusively when you're testing accessibility in your apps. You should always know how to manually test it. Learn how to use dynamic type. Learn how to use voiceover. Learn how to use voice control. Learn how to turn on reduce transparency or reduce motion. Learn how to do these things, and you will know just how you can push your app to its limits to test its accessibility to make sure that it is a quality product. Because an accessible product is a quality one. All right, so let's go ahead and go through these issues here. So, element has no description, and dynamic type sizes are unsupported. So, how then do we fix all of these issues? Well, we have eight issues of the same kind because of the table view cells. Those are that is where the issue lies, and we can see different screenshots that are taken of the app, letting us know, hey, this is where the issue is. It's highlighting the specific view that is causing the issue. Now, of course, if you're blind, it's a little bit harder. Because all you'll hear with voiceover is screenshot image, and that's not very helpful. But what we can do here is let's go into our table view cell here. So inside of our set method for our cell, we see our first issue. While I have is accessibility element set to true, the accessibility label is not quite what we want. The accessibility label is set to an empty string, therefore it doesn't have a description. So we can get rid of accessibility label here. We can save this. Let's run our code again. And we can double check to confirm that we have labels now. So now we can hear Statue of Liberty, Washington Monuments, Lincoln Memorial, Mount Rushmore, Yellowstone National Park, Yosemite National Park, and Grand Canyon National Park, and Acadia National Park. All right, so let's run an accessibility audit again on our app and see if we've fixed those issues that it found. So we'll go into Accessibility Inspector. We'll go into our toolbar. Make sure that we have simulator and change our process. And then what we'll do is, again, we will run our audit. All right. Now, we've gotten rid of the 8 issues for element description. So now our cells have a description. It was able to find it, and it doesn't classify it as an issue anymore. The last 8 issues that the accessibility inspector is reporting to us is dynamic type. So how do we change the dynamic type support then? Well, we can go back into Xcode, and where we are configuring our label here, I'm going to get rid of these 2 lines here where we are setting up a minimum scale factor and whether or not the font size adjusts to fit the width of the label. And in its place, I'm going to say location label dot okay. Location name label dot minimum content size category. We'll set that equal to dot. We want let's say extra small. And then location name label dot maximum content size category. We'll set that equal to, let's say, accessibility large, maybe. Or let's leave it accessibility medium here. All right. let's make sure that we can say location name label dot number of lines equals 0, like that. And then we can also say location name label dot we want well, we can just leave that be, I guess. It's fine. So make sure that number of lines is set to 0 so we can go to as many lines as necessary. We can save this, run our app again. And now let's run another audit. So inside of Accessibility Inspector, make sure that our device is set to simulator, change the process. Set it to our app. I'm not sure why Accessibility Inspector is putting it up as null, but that's what we need. We'll run our audit here, clear all the issues. Okay, so we still have our dynamic type font size is unsupported. So let's go ahead and see what it is that it recommends. So let's go and click info here and see what it recommends. Okay, so let's see, it wants this does not support dynamic type. Consider using a UI font, preferred font, and setting. So you can see in the info tab, it tells us, hey, we make sure that your setting adjusts font for preferred content size. So what we want is to go into our Xcode here. We have our minimum and maximum content sizes defined. But we're not telling it to adjust based on the dynamic type sizes. So we'll say location name label dot adjusts font for content size category. Set that equal to true. Okay. Now, what this is going to do is when we run our audit again, all right, so now we're in the app again. Let's go into Accessibility Inspector. Go into the toolbar. Make sure the simulator is selected. Select your app as its process. We'll run our audit again. We want to clear the results here. And we still have eight dynamic type issues. So if we go into our information, so we have our adjusts font to the type category. Now, what about preferred fonts? Let's go back into Xcode. All right. So we'll say location name label dot I want font equals preferred font for text style. We'll say we can say body, call out, whatever. We'll say body. So now this will use the preferred font that the system specifies for the body style of font in San Francisco, which is the default font for iOS, macOS, all of that. Let's save this, run our code. We have a successful build. We still can't see our labels, but we can still run the accessibility audit. So if we go back into the inspector, go back into the toolbar, make sure simulator is selected, change the process, let's run the audit, and there we go. Okay, I'm gonna clear all of the warnings here just so we can double check to make sure that everything is working. Run audit. Okay, now we have dynamic type sizes are partially unsupported. Now, what is this going to tell us? If we say information, so it's still telling us that we should do what we've already done, set a preferred font and all of that. But we have the reason why this issue appears is because we're not supporting the entire gamut of sizes. So if we go back into Xcode, what we can do is instead of supporting just a subset, we can say accessibility extra large. And now we have the full gamut. So we should, theoretically, if we do accessibility inspector, go into the toolbar again, make sure that we select our app as the process. We can clear the warnings. And I'm going to run the audit. You can see we have 0 warnings now because we're now supporting all the dynamic type sizes, not just some of them. Now, keep in mind, it's not necessarily required to support all the dynamic type sizes. If your view should, if your view should only support specific sizes based on your design, then okay. But ideally, it should support all type sizes. Ideally. And your UI should adapt to make sure that everything looks good. However, like I mentioned in the beginning, there's one issue that Accessibility Inspector is not showing, and that is the font color for our labels. Because again, we're not seeing the names of the landmarks. We're able to hear them, but we don't see them. And that can be fixed by changing, let's see, it's the text color property here. And we can just do that, get rid of it, save it, run it again. And now, there's all of our landmarks. And so now our app is fully accessible according to Accessibility Inspector and our own 2 eyes. However, again, go through all of the different assistive technologies that may or may not be applicable, and do a run through of your app. Make sure that you can you access everything that needs to be accessed? Can you get out of everything that you need to dismiss? Can you type in every field? All of that. Is it easy to navigate around? Is it easy to understand what the app's functionality is, even without color? All of that. So, with that being said, that pretty much does it for this video, guys. Thank you all so very much for watching, and we will see you all in the next video.